So I want to share my thoughts about this book called Shadow of the Batgirl. Um, I was recently in this comic book store to get some Cassandra Cain comics, mostly because of this one coming out. I wanted to get that, and I got my hands on it. I really just wanted that variant cover. The story itself is really short. It's not really much to speak of. It's not bad for Cassandra. It actually, it's a Batgirl story. I'm glad to see it. But uh, I'm just going to talk about this one though, because this is actually the one that was the pleasant surprise. I had known about the book for a little bit, and I avoided it mostly because of the artwork. No offense to the artist, but the style was just. I was like, I think I know what this is going to be. I think it's going to be very childish. I think it's going to be. I'll say, yeah. In particular, I think I could point to one of the scans that I saw that made me say, "No, I'm not going to buy that." So it was. I think it was this page here, especially this image that I saw, and was like, "That's not Cassandra Cain." That's what I told myself. I said, "That's not Cassandra Cain. I'm not buying that." Um, I was disappointed with the way that she was portrayed in the Birds of Prey movie. That wasn't Cassandra Cain at all to me. And so I was like, I'm not going to take a chance on this book either, because this looks like it's just going to be a mess. But I am glad to say that I was wrong. It's very, in my opinion, it's a very good Cassandra Cain book. And yeah, it's written for a younger audience, so it has some elements in there that are less mature, but I don't know, I still like it. I think it really captures the essence of the character, even though it's not a direct continuation, or if it's not a, I would say it's not, it's in the main universe or whatever, and it doesn't really even follow up on the old timeline, the original, which I prefer, the 2000 to 2006 Batgirl series, but it still, even when it's writing its own story, it still captures most of the things that I love the most about the character, and it also kind of goes deeper into those things. Not deeper, but it gives them more room to breathe. Because while I love the original series, there were also some times where I felt like I would like to spend more time dealing with this, or some of these relationships and things like that. And speaking of relationships, there is one that's really important to Cass's history that's missing. That's Batman, obviously, but I think I like what they did with Batgirl, Barbara Gordon instead. I'm not that I would rather have it. No, I'm just saying, it's not a bad. Um, what they did isn't bad. I don't hate it. So I was relieved to when I opened up the book, right, and I saw, if I can find that part here. I think it's right here. Yeah, Cassandra Cain was one of the first Asian girl heroes I saw who actually got to be the hero. Okay, let's go down to where it says, "I devoured every appearance. I obsessed over every story point. I adored the way creators Kelly Puckett and Damian Scott envisioned her." Now that gave me a lot of hope when I first opened up this book, because that's what you got to base a Cassandra Cain story on. You have to base it on the work that Kelly Puckett and Damian Scott did. No disrespect to Tinian and anyone else who wrote Cassandra Cain, but Puckett did it the best. And I think what DC had tried to do in the New 52 was distill what Puckett did down to some things that are, they just don't feel right. They feel really like a surface level understanding of the character. They don't have the exact same depth, and the things such as Cassandra Cain's relationship with her abusive father, her sort of the strange love that they have where he's abusive, he's an a-hole, but at the same time he still loves her, and she resents the way he treated her, the way he raised her, but at the same time she still loves him because after all he is her father, and for him she is his daughter. So they love each other even though their relationship has been pretty toxic, and that part I think is missing from the new 52, and I would rather just stick with the old series. I'm not going to go through the whole book, but I'm just going to just try to highlight quickly the things that I really liked about it. I like that they kept her past as an assassin in. I like that she actually has more bodies under her belt than she did when she was in the 2000 series. That's one thing that I felt was missing too, was that, yeah, she was a killer, but she hadn't killed a lot in the original series. But in this, she has a number of kills to her name, and I like that. And so, like, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I want you to read it. But I enjoyed the relationship that she had with Barbara Gordon, and this actually made me appreciate Barbara being Oracle more than I have in the past, because maybe it's just the way she's written here, and I don't really read any Birds of Prey or anything like that, but to me, I think the way she's written here makes me kind of understand how important she could be for people who have disabilities. I just say that. People who have lost the ability to walk, or their bodies just don't fully function. When you see how capable she is and how she approaches things, I step back and say, wow, that's a really important attitude to see in a character. And I wish, I think they lost that when they pulled her out of the wheelchair. That power that she had to be inspiring, doing what she does as she is now. So I do like the friendships that she made, even though I never really ruled romance out for Cassandra. I never really ruled it out, but it's not really the way I looked at her. But I actually really enjoyed what she had in this book, and I also appreciate that the guy was black. I can't, people say that they don't like to see comics be about representation and all of that stuff, but it's kind of easy to say that when almost everybody that you look at is pretty much, especially in the heroic roles, are pretty much somebody that you resemble. And I think people take that for granted. They, you just have to walk in other people's shoes for a while and understand how it has a psychological effect on people. And I'm speaking from experience. It affects your self-esteem. It affects the way you see yourself when you don't get to see yourself as the hero, as the main character very often. You try to make your own characters to fill in those roles, to fill in those gaps, but at the same time, sometimes you still catch yourself thinking that you can't be the hero, you can't be the main character, or that the main character has to look a certain way or has to be a certain way because that's just what the ideal is, and it's been basically hammered into your head. And so I appreciate this book for that reason as well. It's not preachy about that stuff at all. It doesn't go into oh, you're a Asian or you're this or you're that. It just deals with everything naturally, which is the way comic books should do, and not, not stop and look at you and say, okay, it's time to lecture you about racism or lecture you about disabilities and things like that. It just tells a story. And if you are, unless you are a sociopath, you can relate to these characters. Um, so I think this is probably going on long enough. I don't want to make this too long, but I recommend that you read this book, give it a try. Don't let the artwork, put you off. Just enjoy the story. And I do, the artwork has grown on me. At first, I wasn't too fond of it, but it's growing. It's growing on me. So give the book a shot. And yeah, that's where I'll end this. That is Shadow of the Batgirl by Sarah Kuhn. I believe that's Kuhn. And Nicole Ghosh. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce that. So, all right. Thank you all for watching.